Hello there, I'm Tim and he's John and this is How to Murder Time, a podcast about games and things.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
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 How was your evening?
Yes, gosh, I was doing some more hiking yesterday and it took me about 5 hours to get home from the... I nearly spent more time waiting on a train station platform than hiking. So,
I hear Southampton's nice.
Southampton Central, yeah, there was some problem with the signals, the points. It was great, the announcer kept coming on saying there's been a problem with the points which allow one train to move from one track to another track.
Okay.
Keep explaining what points were in his announcement over and over, and I was starting to get more and more insane about the whole thing. But yes, so I had quite a long day. But yes, more hiking, getting there.
Cool.
Good stuff. Of course, it's getting a bit colder now.
Is it? I hadn't noticed.
Yes, I think I might have caught a cold from all the hideous unwashed masses also amassed on the Southampton Central platform. So there we go. I'm going to soldier on anyway, though. Yeah. That
episode will be up sometime before Christmas.
I don't know, yeah.
We're still trying to get you around the Southwest Coast Path.
I'm hiking faster than they're being broadcast, I think, at the moment, so that's quite impressive. Yeah, so good if you like fans. I just learnt this week that you've put them all under a playlist called Gone Off on One. Yeah. Yes, so look for that in YouTube underneath the How to Murder Time if you just want to see the hiking stuff.
That tickled me at the time.
it is kind of appropriate.
It works on so many levels.
I can't really argue. No, absolutely. I've gone off on one. I've decided to just walk everywhere in the world before I die or something. Yeah, I was eyeing up the Wayfarer's Way, the Wayfarer's Walk the other day. I thought, God, that'd be another one. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about some games because I still do that thing.
Wow. I played
2 new games that I've not talked about
two?
before. Yes, 2 new things
What
to talk
did you play?
about. So I'm going to talk about Metro 2033 Redux.
Ah, yes, the
Redux.
improved graphical fidelity version.
Yes, they've basically redone it under a more modern... No, because I think Metro Last Light was the more recent sequel, but they re-released
on consoles as remastered versions on the new gen. Yeah,
so they basically came up with a new engine for the sequel and then just decided to go back and redo the original game, which I don't know, when was the original game originally out, the non-Redux version?
God, it's got to be pushing a decade, I guess.
Something like that, yeah. We'll come to that as we go. I'm really enjoying it, though. It's based off the books of... I haven't done the research. There's a series of...
Like Picnic?
Huh? No, it's not the Stokowski brothers.
Oh, isn't that?
No, it's someone else entirely. But
it's the Underground people, isn't
it? But it is that kind of feel to it, yes. That whole sort of weird alien... sort of Russian sci-fi with the weird alien zone type thing. So it's a series of novels which apparently are quite popular and quite widely acclaimed, where about post-apocalyptic, specifically post-nuclear war Russia, basically Moscow in particular. When the bombs dropped, they all fled into, I think it's supposed to be 2004 or 2014, one of those.
We're safe.
Well, but the point being is it's not sort of weird, wacky, parallel 60s, 50s or whatever that give rise to the whole Fallout sort of subgenre. It's not supposed to be an alternate history type thing.
It's horribly real.
It is. Well, all the way through. I mean, I'll come to that as I go, but all the way through, I get this sense of they're taking this seriously.
Yeah.
Rather than the sort of obvious comparisons all the way through, you're sort of making comparisons against Fallout versus the Metro series, and Metro is a much more sensible thing, and I'm kind of appreciating that really. Anyway, so the bombs are dropped. Everyone retreated into the Moscow underground system, quite an elaborate
makes sense
network of tunnels and stations and so on. And the action then fast forwards 20 years into the future, so 2034 or 2033, whichever.
It's 2033.
Well, it's confusing because there's books, Metro 2033, 2034, and 2035. So the sequels are basically years after each other. So. But yes, that's your time period, that's what you're setting. But it's all based on a contemporary age when it went wrong, so 20 years after today. You live in the exhibition station. You're Artyom, who is a young, just old enough to be I think you're sort of early adulthood, ideal optimum video game protagonist age. And yes, you've been raised by your stepfather, who's one of the community leaders of this station, and you periodically get visits from your uncle, who's who's a ranger. And there's this sort of elite group who spend a lot of their time going out on the surface and scavenging things and looking out for trouble and that sort of thing. But the surface is just a total no-go zone. I mean, you need gas masks while you're up there with filters on the entire time anyway. And much of the action takes place underground. And so in the early, this it sort of sets you up with your ranger uncle has come and said hello, and then he said, "Oh, I'm off on a mission," and he's left you some instructions if he doesn't get in touch and doesn't come back. And sure enough, so you find yourself going off on a big adventure across various.
Go off on one.
He goes to various different subway stations along this route and trying to find this uncle fella and get in touch with his ranger people there.
Yeah.
All the time, you've got these communities being assaulted by something called the Dark Ones, which is, and I think that's not even something I've met yet. I mean, there's various sort of mutant creatures all attacking these subway stations as well, and they're quite horrific, sort of apex predator, almost alien type creatures that are just sort of come bounding down the tunnels, and you have to fight a lot off of. And then there's a sort of actually the very start of it opens with a sort of further in the future, and then the whole thing is told as a flashback. And in that further in the future bit, there's a whole load of winged things going around as well, winged gargoyle type monsters as well. And then you've got weird sort of psychic emanations going on, and strange alien presences, and ball lightning going up and down some of the tube stations. So it's not utterly drudgingly serious what if. There's quite a bit of science magic going on as well. But it's a really interesting setting. So the gameplay, it really reminds me a lot of the sort of Half-Life / Half-Life 2 kind of sensibility. There's a lot of on-rails type sections, literally on rails in some cases. Obviously, it's an underground system, and there are various buggies and things, and the obligatory vehicle level shows up here and there where you're manning a turret and trying to, while someone else is driving a little minecart thing. I mean, it's a strange game. It's hugely narrative. It is a real return to that old style, which I don't think you really see as much nowadays.
No.
That very much the original Half-Life and Half-Life 2, which follows largely the same narrative structure, which is essentially corridor-based shooter with a lot of exposition and a lot of cutscene going on. And not a huge amount of this sort of more modern day sensibility of the massive open roam box with activities everywhere as icons on the map and unlock these sectors in order.
It's a shame. We moaned about it a bit on the last show.
Yeah, but I found this really welcome actually. Because I was sort of reading around some of the reviews and things, and everyone was saying it's quite an intensely story based shooter with some.
I missed that.
It is absolutely that. It comes with downsides though, and I suppose you have to sort of stop and try and think why that genre isn't prevalent still today, and why everyone's moved to the Assassin's Creed style roam boxes for their narrative adventures.
Yeah, you play it for so long and you're out.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. It is a start, middle, end story. Eventually, you'll get to the far end, and that's it. There's probably not a vast amount of replayability. There's hiddens, and then there's like flashing diaries lying around the place that you need to try and collect all of as you go past. But what it does is it takes control away from you quite a lot of the time. There's large sections. I mean, you don't have a lot of third-person cutscene. It's all told from first-person perspective, including the cutscenes. But that becomes quite jarring because during those sequences, you are not controlling your character, and it is, the viewpoint's moving around. You're doing and saying things. Well, you don't say much at all. It's the other old tradition of the mute protagonist. The Gordon Freeman.
Yeah.
There's a bit of character voiceover during the loading sort of screens. So you hear Artyom himself reflecting on what's going on during the loading screens, but generally he doesn't talk to anyone, doesn't say anything, and that's fine, because it starts to get a bit jarring especially in a first-person perspective if you're hearing a voice that isn't really you.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get whole sections where it's difficult to know, am I playing well or am I playing badly? Because there's every so often you'll just lose or apparently lose, but that's actually the story taking over. Yeah. So there'll be a section where you're on this little minecart thing. There's a couple of people pumping the thing, moving it along, and you're on lookout with the gun, trying to keep the stuff that's bounding down the corridors at you off of them. And there's a lot of high tension drama in the actual gameplay. It's a really good example of the gameplay telling the story, not just here is a generic shooter and then here are some cutscenes that you can watch afterwards. It really does integrate all of its storytelling very closely into the gameplay itself. But that can be quite, I wouldn't say upsetting or bad, because that is the form that's the storytelling it's trying to do. But
it does put you in situations where you can't.
Unexpected, there'll be such, exactly. Like for example, this minecart you're driving along. It's not huge spoilers because it's very early on, but basically, you'll get jumped on by a creature, not able to shoot it off, or it won't take damage, and it pulls you off the minecart. You end up on the floor, and it looks like you're dying because it all fades to red. You've got that whole on the floor sideways camera viewpoint. You think, oh god, here we go.
You instinctively hit reload.
Yeah, you're sort of waiting to click to have another go to the next checkpoint and stuff. But actually, no. What you then get up, it fades back up from black, and you look, and the minecart's down the other end, and they're shouting, "Artyom, come!" So basically, it's doing a lot of unexpected interruptions to the normal game loop, I think, is what that is. And it's really effective, and I find myself getting swept into it quite a lot. But also, I suppose I find myself quite relieved when it's apparent it's now going to leave me alone for a bit. There'll be a section where you can now do some gun stuff, and it's very stealth heavy, as you might imagine, tunnels full of monsters in the dark, You've got weapons, all the usual thing, pistol, shotgun, AK, and all the rest of it, and a sort of modding system where you can choose to specialise the guns. Each hard point on the gun can take different types of mod, which specialise the gun in one direction or another. And I haven't gone with like silencers on everything and night sights on the optics. And
I'm surprised. That's not like you at all.
I'm quite a stealthy sort of person where the opportunity exists anyway, but it really does work very well in this tunnel, and it works well as well because you can see these things bounding past you, and they don't know you're there if you play it properly. If you do the stealth there, but it's that real sort of ammo scarcity, sort of the hits don't do insta kill damage. You really are fighting a battle against just the normal monster. I don't know whether it's the monster, no, because you fight some human opponents quite often. There's all sorts of rogue gangs of raider types in a lot of these different tube stations, Nazis and Reds and so on, and you're having to fight your way through a lot of these. And again, it's that sort of, oh god, our species is on the edge of extermination, why are you people doing this? Look, there's freaking monsters and gargoyles and things out there. Why do I have to like go through this Nazi-occupied tube station like a hurricane and kill all these other human beings? There's a species on the edge of extinction, and you do get that from a lot of the background chatter as you're wandering through some of these outposts. There's a lot of voice work gone into the people just sat there chatting to each other, and you're building up. Again, it's that tell in gameplay rather than here is a big exposition scroll at the start and off you go. And you're sort of building up this picture of a world that's, there might be other survivors, but we're probably never going to be able to contact them, that kind of thing. Because you've got, a couple of thousand people, tens of thousands of people at most, living in the shattered subway system of Moscow. I mean, where's the next other people in Los Angeles? Who knows? Who cares? How would you know? So it just sort of jars, but that's not such an unbelievable thing either in a post-apocalyptic scenario where there's only tens of thousands of human beings left. They're not all going to work together. They're not. There's not going to be a moratorium on strife. We're not going to all band together against extinction. We're just going to carry on being the same petty idiots we always are. So yeah. But I'm a huge fan of post-apocalyptic stuff. But I'm really liking this much more than the Fallout series, because the Fallout series just is determined to make a sort of wacky, turn it into a wacky black comedy thing all the way through. The things like the bloody mess perk and just the bonkers egg whisk robots you meet and stuff like that. There's none of that going on in here at all. This is utterly believable. Apart from perhaps some of the more weird psychic monsters that you come across. But you could see people would be living like that. You get the occasional above ground sort of section where you're sort of going through the shattered ruins of Moscow, and that reminds me a bit of the DC area. Some of the DC sections of Fallout 3, the big sort of cityscape, and that's done well. It's not all sort of again sort of bonkers 60s and 50s stuff lying around everywhere. Is how you'd imagine a 20-year-old ruin of the present day to look. There's traps everywhere. The traps really are surprising. I mean, you see them sometimes in the Bethesda games as well, but they're often very very highly highly signposted. Don't tread on the mine. Here it is. Well, I'm always sort of going through doorways and snapping bits of string and then just having a 2x4 come down on 2 bits, and they don't insta-kill, but they will damage you quite badly. You can carry 5 med kits. It's that old red edges of the screen as a health bar type thing, so you've got no idea how close to death you actually are. But if you're having trouble seeing through all the red, then probably stab a med kit in yourself. But all in all, very tight and very, I suppose I'll use the word controlled. You feel like you're on a very controlled experience going through this thing, and it is, complete each set piece, move on. But on the other hand, you don't have this whole fade to black. Now here comes a cutscene where you're just watching a movie that, oh look, that probably has my character in it. No, that's all going on to you and around you, and I suppose you can see it has taken a lot of inspiration from the original Fallout, the original Half-Life series, because that is the style and the game, and it does come across. I'm not surprised it is the Redux version is essentially a remaster of a decades-old game, because it feels like a game from that era, and that's not a bad thing.
Well, it's decade old. It's not decades.
I don't know.
It's still a 360 game, so it would have come out in the lifetime of this podcast.
Okay, but in that case, even then it would have been, I suppose, a retro-ish experience because everyone else was turning to Roam boxes.
Sure,
at that
it was
point.
the end of that when everyone else was. Well,
But I don't.
there were quite a few, but they were dying off, and we
But I
didn't
do
realise
miss
they were
them.
dying
Yeah,
off.
I mean, obviously, I've got old copies. I can play those games from that time. But it's nice to play something relatively fresh and relatively new, technologically speaking.
Yeah.
The look and feel of it all's good. The work with the darkness and light, which is obviously a major feature of this game, is really spot on. You get the real sense of. I mean, it's one of those few games where I've taken the gamma slider seriously. When a lot of games it pops up at the start, move the slider until you can barely see that. Whatever next. I don't normally bother, but I thought, well, no, it's going to be essentially a survival horror kind of underground post-apocalyptic thing in tunnels and darkness. I thought, all right, let's make sure the gamma, and it really does work well. It really creates that sense of menace, and I suppose it sort of it feels a bit like Alien versus Predator 2. Not the original AVP, because that was a bit more of a sort of set piece level type thing, but the second one, the Monolith one, before the remaster or the reworks or whatever, there was one that. This is the 5th of November, by the way, everyone. So you might be hearing explosions in the background. Do not panic.
Panic!
But yeah, it sort of feels. It has that sort of very cinematic feel to the whole thing. But that does come with the downside in that who wants to watch an action movie for 14 hours? I can do small bits of it, but then it does deliver itself in a kind of very sort of episodic kind of manner. There are set piece, quiet bit, set piece, quiet bit. It's very well put together, and I highly recommend it. I mean, it's a different perspective on perhaps a tired genre, but it's the sort of style and the delivery reminds me of everything that was good about that style of the old trope of it's an L-shaped corridor with a lot of talking in it, but sometimes I'm in the mood for what amounts to an interactive action movie rather than something a bit more. Here's a massive hundreds of kilometres square thing with a lot of towers to go and climb. I mean, I'm in a different mood for those sometimes as well. But no, I really recommend it. I probably will go. Well, obviously, I'm going to keep playing it to the end because I'm really getting involved in it. But I probably will get the Last Light as well, which is the. Because I think there's another one, brand new one in work or kickstarting.
I believe
or
there is
quite
a new
close
one in
to
development.
Yeah, so I think I can't remember what that was called now, but the same people who've done Metro and
Probably just called Metro.
I don't know what. Yeah, have a look on Steam or wherever, but.
Please go to a more reliable podcast for information
They
about.
don't come here for facts. But there is a third one in the instalment that's utterly brand new and not out yet that they're working on or quite close to, that everyone seems to be quite excited about. It does strike me as the sort of game that does attract and maintain quite a following. The people who like the very specific way they're doing things here, and I find I'm quite liking it too. So I recommend that. I like that a lot. Yeah, it's a sort of Fallout meets Half-Life, but taken a bit more seriously than Fallout does.
You know my favourite thing about the game?
Yes.
Currency.
Oh, I forgot that. Yeah, the currency. Bullets. It's not bottle caps. It's actually ammunition.
It is the useful thing. Something which has inherent worth.
There's a very limited sort of economy to the game. You go around. Mostly, you're just searching dead bodies for ammunition for guns and stuff. But also sometimes they'll have military grade ammunition, which essentially is the currency in this world. Really high precision, high quality bullets, because the armories and the manufacturing of that period are really quite shoddy because they're survivors living in tunnels. So if you can get your hands on some top grade 21st century Russian military bullets, they're worth a lot of money. And there's actually little booths where you can change your existing ammo into those and vice versa. And also, when you're using, I think, the AK-47 and similar guns, that your currency also exists as an additional ammo source. So when you run out of actual bullets for it, you switch over to start firing your money. And I thought, oh wow, these bullets are really good. They're doing a lot of damage and setting them on fire when they hit them. Oh my god, my cash is going down. Switch to the shotgun. Get the knife out. Yeah,
It's sort of pay to win, but in game.
But you sort of think, that makes a lot more sense than bottle caps. But then the whole bottle caps thing was just yet another sort of black humour joke in that game anyway. So it's nice to be in a sort of consistently believable post-apocalyptic world. I'm enjoying this a lot. Yeah,
It's a game I always keep meaning to go back and finish.
You play it with.
I played it for a bit.
What do you reckon?
I liked it and then stopped playing it. But I was playing it on the 360 back when it released, and I have it also because I am like that on Steam. And then I got the Redux versions for free when they came out.
Yeah.
So I should probably go and play that.
Yeah. It's very good. It's not too horrific in terms of survival horror. I mean, it does an occasional jump scare here and there, but mostly it's more aliens versus alien.
Yeah.
It's more the sort of fighting off the hordes rather than having one all-powerful creature stalking you for 8 levels. So, but maybe it does that, and I haven't got to that bit yet either. So yeah, well, definitely worth a look. I like it. Over to you.
I'm going to talk a bit about a game called Stories Untold.
Stories Untold. Okay.
Which is a interesting little, difficult to say what genre of a game it is.
One of those.
Which has basically 4 parts in it.
Okay.
You start off playing. The last 3 parts are locked, and you end up in what is basically Guy sitting in front of his computer.
Yep.
Which is Spectrum Plus 2 with a different name, and it's too thin, it's not thick enough. Playing a text adventure. And so you're typing away, playing a text
adventure. Wow.
And then that develops into some interesting little things. I'm being very careful of spoilers here.
Yeah, because you sent me a Steam code for this thing, and I've downloaded it, I haven't started it yet.
And then it goes into the next part, and there's 4 different parts, and they're all stylistically very different. One's a text adventure, one is you with a set of machines following instructions, looking in the manual, looking up on what to do.
Okay.
And so it'll be, right, we need to do this thing. Okay, this needs to be on, this needs to be off, this needs to be at this setting. Hit the button, boom, that worked.
Okay,
and
so
then
it's puzzle.
There's another one where you're basically having to do responses based on messages being sent to you, which you're then looking up on microfiche.
Sounds quite dated.
Yeah. And then there's a couple of walking around bits as well. It's bleak.
Bleak?
I will say it's bleak.
Oh, I don't like bleak. I suppose I do. Post-apocalyptic games, yeah.
Yeah, it's really not a walking sim, but it really reminds me in some ways of Dear Esther.
Okay, yeah. There was a certain melancholy to that.
Yeah. And until you find out what's going on and what ties these 4 different stories together. I mean, the first one you finish, you go straight to the second one, nothing at all connecting them. And then you realise, this and this are actually connected. And because an interesting slow development. By the time you get to the 4th, it's all being very, very clear as to what's going on and resolving it. And it does have a very, very clear resolution, which I liked. Playing through, I was worried that it was going to build up all of these things, not really say what they're about, and then at the end of it just have a hanging ending.
Deliberate inexplicability.
But in reality, it actually said exactly what was going on and got even bleaker, but it said what was going on. And
so sort of satisfying in that sense. Yeah,
it's satisfying in a very, that's...
I don't mind that necessarily. I don't like the ones where they just create some really bizarre setting and backstory and then refuse to explain it at all.
Yeah.
Because there probably isn't even an explanation, but you're sort of left trying to, join the dots yourself and come up with all sorts of weird theories.
No, there's no needing to draw any conclusions as to anything yourself, because it does tell you. It's very straightforward. And if you do want something which is a bit vague, then by the end of it, this is not going to be the game that
fair enough.
will do that. But it's interesting, and it's incredibly interesting, and the way it's put together and the way it's foreshadowing and calling back on stuff is really nicely done. You'll be going through one of the walking levels, you see something in the background and think, oh, hang on, what's that doing there? And actually it's a call forwards to the next thing that's coming. And
sounds clever.
Yeah, it's really nice, and I quite enjoy it. It's quite entertaining in a bleak way.
Well, I will definitely have to give that a go, because I've got it. I haven't started it.
Also, it has the advantage of it. It's one of that genre of game, that niche of game, which is it's a couple of hours to play all the way through it.
Okay. And doesn't outstay its welcome.
It really doesn't outstay its welcome. You can do it in a couple of hours.
Okay.
More if you, say, get very confused and start trying to collect everything. There's 3 collectibles going through it as well, which aren't signposted at all. But once you figure out that there's probably something, you might get a little bit caught up thinking, I'm going to have to go for it.
I am increasingly learning to let those go. Yeah, it's been a struggle though.
There's one where there's cassettes. One of the walking around bits, there's cassettes lying there, and you're thinking,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. There's obviously loads of these. You have to find them all. Trying every door.
Metro has those, and the problem with Metro is you can't go back. It's just so unless you were paying attention during every single section and grabbed each diary, you're going to end up with blanks in your diary log, which essentially acts as a kind of journal.
I bet there's achievement to that, isn't there?
Oh, most certainly, yeah.
There always is. So yeah, I really like it. It's an enjoyable little experience of a game with actual proper gameplay, where you'll be getting information. You have to sort of decode it and work out what it means to a certain extent.
Oh, I love that
by
stuff.
going into looking at reference and going through and doing something with that information, which is actually quite enjoyable. It's one of those games where I ended up with a bit of paper next to me, writing things down, which doesn't happen that often. Just because there's some numbers which you need.
Scraps of paper with clues on. Yeah, I discover those like 5 years later. And what the hell was that about? Yeah,
my brother had a whole folder for Fez.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all simple stuff, like the fact that I was needing to take the phonetic alphabet or Morse code and then put it through a decoding table and put it out. And all I needed to know what the 5th and 9th letter number was in a sequence.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. I mean, not everything has to be a 40-hour roam box with towers. And
I appreciate it because I keep getting to the point where I'm a little bit unwilling to start a game because I just look at it and think, oh, that's going to take me forever. I can't really be asked to start.
Well, yeah.
And so having these small games really does help.
Yeah.
Because
it's been a long time since I've been able to commit to a single game and like spend 20 hours a week chipping away at it.
I mean, I quite often think of something like Skyrim and think I should finish that, and then my brain says no, you won't, so I don't.
Well, I mean, finishing Skyrim is a very subjective term anyway. Do you mean
just get to the end of the plot,
the main Dragonborn plot? Yeah, that's not too long. You can push on that.
I will get distracted. No one has ever just done the plot.
I do.
Mainly because the wolf up that mountain.
Yeah.
Was it a bear or something? Wasn't it? On that path. Yeah.
Oh, the 7,000 steps to beat the Greybeards. There is an Arctic troll halfway up.
Oh, that was
a snow
one,
troll. That is quite a fight, especially since the people down in the village at the bottom say, "No, it's just a wolf or two up there. You'll be all right."
Yeah, it's horrible gating, and there's nowhere to walk around.
Well, Lydia can tank it fairly well if you've still got her around, or just a lot of scenery exploiting works.
Yeah. Anyway, there's lots and lots of long games that I can't be asked. But
that's not wrong. Yeah.
Having these small games crop up every so often, so I can just sort of spend an afternoon playing them.
Yeah, a very distilled experience.
Yeah, I find it very enjoyable because then I go away, I have a little think about it.
Highly intense, but very small. There's nothing
rant
wrong
about
with
it for a couple of minutes on the podcast, and then it's done, it's gone, and it's over, and I'm quite happy with that.
Because Skyrim's fine in many ways, but when all said and done, the part of its longevity is just doing the same kind of raid the cave or clear out the crypt over and over and over again. And if you enjoy doing that activity, then there's no problem with it. And that's essentially why Skyrim does so well, is because it is essentially a single player MMO. But the individual quality of the specific experience, you could raid one cave and then be done, put it away. Yeah. And that's.
I've seen this game now.
Yeah,
I've seen all this game has to offer.
That's enough for now. And then come back later and carry on or whatever. But yeah, where the game is such a small, discrete, and well designed, tightly packed beginning, middle, end, finish type thing, without hundreds of widgets to find or now go and get gold in all the side activities. There's definitely a place for that, and perhaps an appreciation that certainly I think I need to develop a bit more as well. I do tend to go in for the big long haul stuff, but I'm just not that interested in that kind of thing these days. So yeah, the smaller games I think probably would be more welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's quite a good game.
Cool. I'm going to talk about Rebel Galaxy.
Rebel Galaxy,
yeah. So my continuing ongoing. I recently got the Starfinder core rulebook. This is utterly unrelated, but because I'm constantly on the lookout for decent science fiction, science fantasy type experiences to indulge in, because frankly the real world is not getting there fast enough,
and it appears to be going backwards.
I've got to this point in my life, and I've starting to come to the terms with the fact that I may never get to command a spaceship with a warp drive.
Yeah,
and that's a terrible realisation.
I'm not quite there yet.
A terrible realisation in a young man's life. I mean, you just get there and you think, oh, it was all lies. There's not going to be any Star Trek.
I've been playing lots of arcade games, and no one's ever asked me to be in their space armada.
Famous recruiting process, yeah. But so I flee to escapism. And yeah, we've been doing a lot of Pathfinder pen and paper role playing. I'm doing that again on the Fridays. That's good fun. Resurrected the old campaign that we were halfway through, going well.
Yeah.
But
how many have you killed this time?
No, it's tricky because there's 7 of them in the party now, and I'm trying to come to terms with how the maths works. You can't just add 3 monsters.
Add a dragon.
You can't just add a
3
dragon
kobolds
every time.
and a dragon.
Just if in doubt, add a dragon. Yeah. Oh, well, I might try that. Yeah. You're
There's
terrible GM.
There's 1 pickpocket and a dragon.
So every encounter needs a dragon.
16 city guards and a dragon.
I'll see what I can do. But I'm sort of working, bringing it back up to speed. And I injured the wizard quite badly this week, so that was good. I'm getting there. Yeah.
Who plays the wizard?
It was Solomoni.
Oh, that's
Yes.
that's
But
a bit cruel.
he did launch a fireball at most of my creatures, and that would make them quite angry.
Yeah.
See, I'm trying to use monster psychology. Oh, something just flung a load of fire at me. I'm going to go and kill it.
I'm going to stop it doing
I
it.
should go and eat its face off. Yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, so Paizo, who do Pathfinder, have just released the culmination of however long work they've done, the core rulebook for something they call Starfinder.
It's a lot of work because it involves going through a search for a place and changing path to star.
Well, I was wondering if that's what it is. Starfinder essentially is a science fiction role-playing game based on the more or less the 3.5 D20 rule system that they used for Pathfinder. But there's quite a lot of changes and differences and streamlinings to the rule set, which I haven't got to yet. But so far, I'm just reading through the backstory and the thing, the sort of world and settings part of it all. Anyway, so that was all brilliant, and I thought, I need more space, more starfighters and stuff. And so, looking for the space tag on Steam, and came up with Rebel Galaxy, which I'd not played or heard of. Had a quick look through.
I might own it.
Very good. You probably do. You tend to buy everything. Also, I made a point of buying that on Good Old Games. Because I'm just tired of everything. All my entertainment experiences being tied up in Valve's clutches.
Which is the best thing about buying it on Good Old Games?
Well, I got a free copy of Tales from the Borderlands because it was Halloween. Don't know. I'll play that at some point. It wasn't what I was after.
Sure, that's the best thing.
What's the best thing?
No achievements.
No achievements. Oh, good. Yeah. Excellent. But no DRM, which is nice as well. They make a point of that as well, which is why there's a lot of stuff you'll still only ever find on Steam.
I even installed their launcher.
Yeah, I've got their GOG Galaxy client.
Because it doesn't seem to be a tool to produce it.
No, it's all right. It's just a download manager and library, as far as I can tell. Anyway, so yeah, I'm trying to do more to split my gaming library across multiple platforms insofar as they exist, rather than just, Steam being in control of my entertainment forever. Anyway, so Rebel Galaxy, I'll talk about that. Yeah, it's a space. Space combat trading type game.
My favourite
drill.
kind of game.
Yeah, combat trading, exploration, all that sort of thing. You're playing capital ships. All the way through. You're basically I don't even know what your backstory is, but you've been contacted
You're a
by
man
you're
and
a
a woman.
You're a person who has been contacted by their Aunt Juno, who's gone missing, and has sent you an inexplicable relic, and also given you a impressive spaceship.
I'm trying to think if I played this or if it's exactly the same.
And then
as
you
every
go
other
off.
game.
You have to go off and try and find her, and then you find yourself following a trail of strange alien contacts who want you to do various jobs for them. And while you're doing that, you might as well upgrade your spaceship and earn some credits. This all takes place in a big solar system. Interesting gameplay to it all, though. The capital ship is quite beefy, and that's not what you expect right off the bat at the start of it all. You're in something that's about this. I don't know, it's hard to tell the size of anything in these games because you've never got any kind of scale. But it seems something along the lines of the Corvette, the Corellian Corvette at the start of Star Wars, A New Hope. That kind of size sort of ship. It's got turrets. It's got broadsides.
Although it should be pointed out, it's never quite clear how big the Corellian Corvette
I know,
is.
it gets larger and smaller in each shot.
Mainly because the model was actually designed to be the Falcon.
Oh, I don't know.
Which is why it's got windows at the front, which you have a person size.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But you didn't want to use it because you saw Space 99 and saw they had really nice spaceships and thought it was too similar.
I've completely lost track of what I was talking about now.
Keep going.
I can't.
Rebel Galaxy.
Yes. Anyway, so it's basically Assassin's Creed 4 in space.
Oh, okay.
So the ship combat from Assassin's Creed 4 specifically, I don't think there's any getting out and walking in stations type stuff. That's all just menus. No.
Is there a bizarre stealth level in a ship?
I haven't come to one yet, but I wouldn't put it past them. People tend to try that nonsense. No, you're in a pretty hefty capital ship with top and bottom turrets with broadside launcher cannon things, and basically, yes, it's all done in large turning circle broadside combat against all other types of ships as well. It's so yeah, you need to sort of pull the camera around to the side, come up alongside your opponent, and then you hold right mouse button, and there's sort of the white sort of arc thing that you get in Assassin's Creed, that's there, and that sort of that narrows and goes yellow, and then you left click to fire, and it's basically trading blows. It is real sort of 18th century naval combat, but in space. It's made even more so in the whole thing's locked onto a flat 2D plane. Space is an ocean.
Two-dimensional.
Yeah, you can't fly up or down. It's only ever left or right and accelerate. so the whole thing takes place on a flat plane. I mean, the little fighter ships that attack you, they're allowed to go up and down. Yeah, but then you switch from your broadsides to your top and bottom turrets to deal with those, and you have to sort of snap lock to the turret to them and let them have it. It's quite an engaging and interesting sort of combat style. Actually, I'm sort of getting the hang of it. It's not what you expect, and it's not what you're used to, especially because it's got all the space accoutrements to it. It is essentially a science fiction game, but it plays very much like Pirates of the Burning Sea or Black Flag or Star Trek Online to some extent. But although Star Trek Online, you're allowed to go up and down in that, whereas this is locked to the flat plane. So yeah, you got various different outposts there with all their little market commodity boards that you buy and sell cargo. There's lots of exploration to do out in these star systems, which are pretty huge. One thing I have trouble with is it seems to want to control how fast you're going. You can set the speed in 25% increments with Q and E, but you tend to speed up and slow down depending on how close you are to stuff. So as you fly away from a thing that's quite interesting, you'll start to ramp up to warp speed. And apparently it keeps telling me off for stopping warp speed myself, because the tooltip keeps popping up and saying, if you get near to an interesting thing, it will come out of warp automatically. And I don't believe that for a minute, because I'm sure I've shot past things that I wanted to stop and have a look at. So I'm sort of fighting the controls a little bit, but it is such a sort of strange and unexpected mode of controlling it all for a spaceship. So you got all sorts of various interesting little star outposts there. There's pirate clans with the usual unfeasible amount of capital class military hardware.
Yeah. There's a time when pirates need to stop being pirates and just become
that's an army. Yeah, that is you might as well just move on Earth at that point. If you've got that many fighters and that many capital ships. Where do they get this stuff? I mean, it sort of beggars belief how pirates in the real past got those kinds of ships, and just I suppose they were just actual naval ships and naval crews who just went rogue. In history. Surely they weren't building these galleons and men of war and stuff out in the Indies or wherever.
Well, quite a lot of piracy was actually sanctioned by governments against other forces.
Yeah. So they would have been provided the ships anyway, maybe. Yeah. So yeah, it's that kind of thing. It's sort of quite cheap and cheerful. I mean, the plot's moderately engaging. I've got the strange artifact no one knows what is, and I've got the missing relative who turns out to have a shady past.
Is your spaceship a magic spaceship prototype?
No, it's a fairly standard bottom of the line. I mean, the shipyard in the various starbases has got a whole series of different upgrades. There's not a vast number of other ships, but they are all massive capital things. So you buy your way up the rankings there. Your ships have various equipment slots that you can upgrade the abilities of. Interestingly, the guns come in different Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3 tiers, but within those tiers you've usually got 3 or 4 different types of guns that have different characteristics, which is interesting. Things like the broadside cannon, you can get ones that have a much longer range but are slower to fire, or nearer ones with a wide spread, or ones that are better at going for shields or armour and so on. So there's a certain amount of customisation there. There's nothing I've seen so far that suggests a character sheet or character abilities particularly. So I think it is just earn the money, get more powerful. But the music's fantastic as well. It's got this real sort of Firefly-esque steel guitars sort of thumping bluegrass thing going on all the way through, and
it's not the usual either orchestral
no, it's none of that.
Or electro.
It's this real sort of Firefly style sort of bluegrass, steel guitar acoustic sort of thing with a rock in the background there, and it seems really well tuned to the action as well. Not quite up to the iMuse system where it's composing on the fly. But as you come in to fight, it all kicks off, and I find myself just sort of tapping my feet as I'm playing along in combat. It's quite good, quite enjoying that. It has got a really stylish a real sort of look and feel and style all to its own. It is reminiscent of Freelancer in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Privateer sort of type of thing. but blended in. I think it takes an awful lot from the Assassin's Creed, the Black Flagship combat thing. And if you liked that, and I know you did,
Yeah, I did.
then you'll love this as well, because it is essentially the same kind of thing. I sort of could take or leave the naval combat in Black Flag a bit in myself, but it seems to work quite well in a space context. I'm enjoying it. For starters, the broadsides don't arc, which is nice.
Okay,
it's flat trajectory because lasers. Yeah. There's no gravity, so it makes the ballistics all a bit easier to cope with. And the upgradability of it all, perhaps it's just being in space makes me like it more. I don't know. But I'm liking that a lot. It's a lot of fun. I'm sort of doing small dip-in goes here and there. I think one of the things I'm having trouble a bit with is the difficulties a bit all over the place, though.
Yeah.
Because essentially you're roaming freely on a proper star system map, and I believe there are other star systems as well. There's a jump drive I can't afford yet. It's the usual early tutorial gating mechanism. No, you can't have the thing that lets you go to other stars until you've mastered how to play. Okay. But yeah, it's quite possible to sort of go just streaking across the middle to the next mission objective. There's a lot of sort of procedural in-game bulletin board missions as well as main story stuff, and you're sort of zigzagging around the solar system, and it's quite easy to get waylaid by pirate groups that are much more powerful than you, and it will try and sort of tell you get a threat level warning of orange, yellow, red, or whatever, and so that's you've got some indication of whether you should attempt to flee. And as far as I can tell, if you're determined to get clear, you generally can.
Yeah.
It's not. They're not hyper fast or really shut you down. You generally can run away if you need to, but it's quite it's a bit swings and roundabouts as to discovering what it is you should be able to fight, because nothing seems to have a level on it that I've seen so far. Perhaps they do have a number on them somewhere that I should be trying to pay attention to. So perhaps I just need to pay more attention to this threat warning thing, But that'll come with practice, that'll come with experience, I think. Really enjoying just the sort of look and feel of it all. And some of the aliens you meet in the bars are quite good as well. Proper sort of real aliens rather than sort of rubber forehead people. And they're all using the sort of made up Star Wars style alien languages with the subtitles underneath. It's just lends quite a good feel to it all. I'm liking it a lot, actually. Yeah, cool. Yeah. It's not a hugely intense deep space experience. It's more of a quite arcadey, I think, but quite engaging as well. So
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to keep going with that. See where it leads me.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Shall we have a quick discussion or post-mortem?
Oh, is it rant time?
No, we have a quick post-mortem on Skyfactory.
Oh, yes, Skyfactory 3.
Because we finished it.
Yeah.
And
got there in the end.
it would all been put out by the time this goes out.
Okay, dokie.
It's not going out for a week.
So you managed to catch up with the episodes then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been caught up for a while. Yeah, so we finished it.
Yeah, that's quite an experience. So I suppose my natural comparison is going to be with Regrowth, which is the other massive chained narrative mod pack we did immediately prior to this. I don't know. I mean, certainly the basic gimmick is that you are in the sky, stood on a block of dirt with a tree on it, and you have to somehow, using this collection of mods and your native cunning and wits, recreate everything.
Yeah.
And it gives you a book. The book's a bit more freeform. It's essentially a list of things it thinks you should do.
Yeah, I didn't like the book as much.
You could tick them off if you like, or you could even cheat and say you've ticked them off.
Yeah, it never had an auto check.
It doesn't check, so yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, who are you cheating at that point, if not only yourself? But so you didn't think the book was as good?
No, I didn't think the book was as good. It didn't have as much structure as Regrowth.
It was more of a checklist, whereas the Regrowth book tried to be a bit more narrative, and laid you through.
And it's really, and it's nowhere near as good as something like Age of Engineering, which is incredibly channel you through and build on stuff.
And I've not even looked at that one yet.
Which works a lot better. This seems like the weakest of the ones I've played. Also,
well, weakest, but also most freeform.
Yeah.
It gave you most of the stuff you needed to get going pretty early on. It wasn't too much locked behind other stuff.
Also, we took way longer than we needed to complete it because
figures.
Yeah, once you get to any certain point in it,
yeah,
like you get your chickens, you get your
plants.
If you do everything right,
yeah,
which we didn't do, we could have. We had infinite resources very early on, and we could have had way more infinite resources, and it would have been a lot easier and
more efficient. Yeah,
more efficient. And it's where these always fall over. I think is here you go. Right now, you've got the point where if you want a bazillion iron, just make a bazillion iron.
Yeah,
up in the number of chickens, up in the number of plants, up in the number of trees or bees or whatever it is that particular one uses.
Yeah, there's this whole class of mods for Minecraft which essentially take some quirky mechanism but use it to deliver infinite resources very early on. The chickens was the main thing in here. So there's a whole bunch of chickens. What's the mod called? More chickens or something?
Yeah, too many chickens.
Too many chickens.
And it has specifically disabled one of the chickens to mean that didn't have enough resources.
Was there a
the
Nether
awake-
Star chicken?
2 chickens were disabled. Yeah, but Nether Stars are easy enough to do. It's the Awakened Draconium. That was the one that was the...
there was a chicken for that. Wow.
That was a deliberate bottleneck put in by killing that chicken.
Yeah.
And not letting you have it.
So basically,
otherwise,
you have a whole load of chickens that lay eggs, which essentially are resources that you could have to normally go and mine for or do some really complicated construction chain for. No, we just got a chicken, it'll lay them. Or seeds, in case the chickens weren't broken enough, you could also grow them all from seeds.
Yeah. If we'd used the right equipment on that earlier on, we could have really...
Oh, there's garden cloches.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were quite OP. There's a lot of overpowered stuff. That whole draconic evolution mod is insane.
Yeah.
Which I think was the capstone of the whole thing anyway. They sort of directed you to using that last. That didn't show up in Regrowth at all, that one.
That wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's... It's got some nice stuff. I really like the big battery. That's really nice.
Yeah.
But all of the equipment is brokenly overpowered.
The armour, well, I don't know, you didn't do a Chaos Dragon fight.
Yeah, well,
that was
there was one thing they put in to be tough.
It's, you know your equipment's overpowered when they have to design a whole new class of monster to be able to threaten you in it. Yeah, but I could have died, I think, against the Chaos Dragon. But apart from that, including the reactor meltdown, survived that.
Yeah, that's the other good thing about that mod is that reactor.
I
do wonder. I assume everyone watching knew what I was up to the moment we started building it.
Yes. Why are they in a different dimension?
Why have they gone to the Nether? Why are they building this? And why is nobody concerned about getting the power anywhere?
Yeah.
Oh no, he just wants to make a bomb.
Yes. I'll have to remember that in future.
Yeah. Yeah, and we had to do it in the Nether, of course, to demonstrate the blast radius.
Well, because there wasn't anything to blast elsewhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
it would have just vaporized our base.
The whole sky concept. So the skybox concept itself is a clever idea. I like the idea of having to bootstrap everything from nothing. But I imagine very quickly, I mean, we sort of kept it reasonably reined in. It depends how A to B to C to the end you're going, or whether you're going to go off and do lots of side stuff. I tried a bit of architecture. I was trying to make the base, interesting and nice to look at as well. So we obviously ended up building more stuff than was necessary. We could have done it in a much more compact, a square with a load of machinery on it. Generally,
if we know what's in draconic evolution and we'd known what was in immersive engineering,
we
would have powered through an awful lot quicker.
I think half the struggle is knowing what is even available to you, because I mean that wasn't as bad as was Regrowth more. No, I think this one had more than Regrowth.
Yeah, there's more.
Either way, there was about 150 mod packs, mods built into this one mod pack. So that's 150 different sets of things, most of which have their own kind of fuel or their own kind of steel or something. There are about 8 different types of copper, I think, at one point. So, just trying to get a handle on what's the best. But then I suppose that becomes the mid-game, doesn't it? That's the challenge, and the puzzle solving is... Now we have we've gotten past the, oh my God, there's a tree and a bit of dirt and that's it. How do we get from here to anything remotely approaching a normal Minecraft world? That can be solved relatively easy. Eventually, within the first, 8 to 10 episodes, we were capable of mass producing dirt and mass producing cobble, and we could have just carried on building as far as every horizon if we'd wanted to.
If we'd actually been on the ball more, we could have been doing that episode 3.
Yeah. So from there, you start to wonder, right, okay, so what's the objective now? And the book provides the objectives. Obviously, you tick everything off in the book, and there's a lot of interesting challenges. I particularly like the Age of Insanity. That seemed to me to be the most interesting chapter of that, because that was literally doing really, really unusual and exotic things with all of the tools at your disposal. I mean, some of the tasks were suggested just very specific things like build the colossal chest, sort of thing. That's just one mod pack, it needs these, build a load of those. And
put it down, Bob.
We'd by about episode 50 or so, how many episodes did we do in the end?
65.
So probably by about episode 40 to 50, we were in a position where we could retool our automation to mass produce materials for any project we were then going to set off and do. And after that, it was just basically the last sort of 30 episodes were us trying to understand some of the more obscure sort of far end mods, like the dimensions, for example, or the draconic stuff. How does the infusion altar work?
Well, okay, dimensions again, I never used it before, so that slowed us down. If I knew
Yeah.
If I'd known what all these mods are, we would have just powered through, because none of these mods move on and build on the next.
So is it the purpose of a mod pack like this to introduce
I don't
this
know.
vast selection of mods to people and let them explore and experiment or learn their way? Because I certainly felt that from Regrowth, because Regrowth definitely changed them. Regrowth did a lot more tweaks to individual mod packs, which meant that in order to get started on this mod, you needed to get the end product of this mod.
Yeah.
So just substitute what the basic material of this mod was for the end product material of another one. That then turned the whole thing into much more of a linear, now learn this, now learn this, now learn this sort of experience, which certainly would do a better job of teaching people the vast variety
Also,
of mod
it gives
packs
you
that are out
more of
there.
a sense of progression.
Yeah.
Because I never got the sense of progression in
No.
Skyfactory. It was purely, right, okay,
What
this
ticks-
week I'm going to do a bit on blood magic, because why not?
What ticks can we just throw off this week? Yeah, but then so the other alternative for a large chain mod pack like this is to present the whole thing as a puzzle solving exercise, where you've got this, and this. For example, a block of dirt and a tree, and we need you to do this, and this, and then it's down to So I suppose that's more an advanced task and challenge, because it's how quickly can you ramp up through these different tools, and which tools are the best ones to use to achieve this particular aim.
Yeah.
So that becomes a puzzle type mechanic, a long overall puzzle mechanic based on your wide ranging knowledge of Minecraft and extra third party mods and the systems that go with them. So that's probably more suitable for expert players, whereas something like Regrowth is probably more suitable for newer players who just don't know any of it anyway, because a more linear approach like Regrowth will probably teach you more, or at least give you the opportunity to experiment more, whereas something like the Skyfactory is, here it all is, go crazy, we want you to do these insane things, and some of the mid-range ticks in the book were sort of tutorially. There was things you would get on the way through rather than things you were aiming at, but the stuff on those last couple of pages was insane. That billion RF per tick type thing,
There was one way to do that sanely,
and it didn't work on our server. The way that, so I did actually end up going and looking up some of this stuff, because it was such an ask, such a ridiculous. For starters, you needed a vast repository to put the energy in. Okay, we understand the big spinning ball draconic battery thing.
storing energy not a problem for us.
But then you have to generate the energy, and that was quite a challenge, because a lot of the things you'd think were the best ways to do it, like that rainbow generator, or indeed the reactor that we ended up blowing up that comes with the giant energy ball. That's the reactor that goes with it. That didn't actually output a vast amount per tick. It kept going for a very long time and generated a lot of energy in total, but
it was only putting out
throughput. So and there was all sorts of different tools available, and that became quite interesting as a challenge. But in the end, I had to go and just do some research, and it turned out that the simple generators near the Star Generator Mark III was the single fastest throughput energy generator available, and I still needed about 400 of them. And then you still need to work out the wiring as well, because you can't have any bottlenecks. I found that whole challenge quite interesting, quite fascinating. But all the solutions I saw used a Flux Networks mod that was included in there but didn't work properly, which essentially was a kind of infinite throughput wireless thing. Anyway, I got there in the end, but so it depends on the sort of experience you're after, whether you know a lot about systems and Minecraft in general and want to have a set of freeform puzzles, get to the end the best way you can, the quickest you can. Skyfactory probably is the best fab. Whereas
also the other one, the quantum storage, that really annoyed me, because if I'd known, I would have set it going week one and finished it, because that was limited by how many it could take in a tick.
That had a throughput of 64 input blocks per tick, so once you've wired up 64 cobble generators to it, nothing more you can do there. You couldn't even have two sets going and then pipe them together, because you literally 64. There's the throughput problem.
And so a penultimate episode ends basically with us having done everything except for that finish.
Just waiting for that, right? Well, that's sort of.
Luckily, I had something else I wanted to do on the final episode.
Yeah. So interesting. I mean, what other sorts of large-scale aggregate mod packs are there out there like that?
Well, there's Data Engineering, which is a lot more like Regrowth, but the world's normal.
Yeah.
But they've just tweaked the mod packs to run from one to the other, and you go through different ages, which is each age is basically a mod pack.
Okay.
And it's quite nicely done, and it just feels a bit more friendlier than the oppressiveness of Regrowth.
Well, Regrowth
all the cracked
is
sand everywhere.
Regrowth is a post-apocalyptic Minecraft adventure. Yeah, I mean, you're starting on a dead world and having to fix it all yourself.
Yeah.
Which I quite liked, narratively speaking. I mean, Skyfactory just didn't even attempt a kind of narrative at all. There wasn't a story there. You were just there. Here are some things to do. Go and get on with it. Which is a way. Yeah. So I much prefer the refined storage to the applied energistics ME system that we had in Regrowth.
Yes, even though you did keep saying that you'd rather have the channels.
I loved the channels mostly because they were all different colours and it looked aesthetically interesting. But yeah, in terms of we had a lot of problems with our storage system in that first.
Well, I think that those storage systems are also one of the things that's wrong with the mods.
You reckon?
Because okay, the first problem we solve is get all the resources.
Yeah.
The second problem we solve is never have to build anything ever again because we've got infinite power, infinite whatever we need.
Yeah.
We just add more recipes and we'll just stack that system up until the point where it is bursting with every recipe we need.
With every resource as well, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but then you're just basically, but you still can't. I suppose the big thing with these mod packs with the big linky book is that they're attempting to compensate for a lack of imagination.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I've got Minecraft, I've got all this stuff, what will I do with it? It's essentially like giving a kid just a big bucket of Lego.
Yeah.
There you go, entertain yourself.
There is a version of Skyfactory which is timed,
Oh my God.
which turns it into this is a specific thing.
A race. Yeah. Well, that becomes a sort of challenge endurance sport, I suppose, at that point. But I mean, having a big book tell you what to do is all very well, but at some point you're going to have to step away from it all and go, well, what do I want to do? What do I want to build? And we're finding this. There's a How to Murder Time mod pack thing going on at the moment. You can probably find details wherever.
Go into not Forge anymore. It's Twitch.
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 Yeah, click on the Minecraft mods in there. There's How to Murder Time pack, which is basically
Nick's a friend of the show, has put together basically a fairly lightweight set of mods with no linking narrative structure, and that is essentially back to a more Minecraft aesthetic in a way. I mean, I like having a purpose, but I'm finding on this new server we're doing with that mod pack, it's just a set of tools, and it's still up to us what to do with it. And so I decided to just build a little castle. It's very much a back to basics thing after these vast
brutalism.
Yes. Coming back to it after these sort of vast, long mod pack chain, sort of do all the things in order type thing. It's nice to just be able to go and
in fact, one of the early decisions that everyone made on Slack was we're not going to have chickens or anything that really does completely screw up the resource gathering.
A lot of these mod packs seem to me...
Don't mind the miners, they're fine.
So you got Minecraft, you got vanilla Minecraft, which is and that comes with survival mode and creative mode. So survival mode is the perhaps the standard thing, where you have to go and dig resources, find iron, build a little castle, fight off zombies at night time. It's all very straightforward. But then there's survival mode for people who just can't be bothered with all that nonsense and just want to make a Lego castle or something. And that basically, I've never used survival. Creative mode. Yeah.
Survival mode.
Oh, whatever. But so creative mode, I've never actually played it. But from what I gather, you basically do have all the infinite resources.
Yeah. You just
build what you like. There's not a scarcity thing there. You're not having to go and find the materials in order to make what you want to make. You just make what you want to make. Yeah. And it seems to me that a great many of these mod packs and individual mods even are a way for people in survival mode to gain creative powers.
Yes.
You're basically building up to the point where you have infinite power, infinite cobblestone, infinite resources.
You
can fly. You're immune to monsters. You can rework the landscape. It's basically just in-game ways of... And you have to start to wonder, well, why bother going to all that lengths? Why not just playing in creative? A lot of these mod packs come with creative blocks as well.
Yeah.
So, for example, if a mod pack introduces a funky kind of electricity to run all its blocks, there'll often be a creative block that generates an infinite amount of the funky electricity. So you've got a creative option within a mod pack whose purpose seems to be providing people in survival mode the abilities of being in creative mode anyway. So I don't know. So I don't know. I mean, I like mods. As I said before, I think I've just gone off vanilla Minecraft entirely for the time being. Certainly, I mean, just building a wooden log cabin. It's all very well, but I like the puzzles and I like the interconnecting machinery and I like working out how to do a thing with the process, the industry of it all is quite interesting in a lot of these mod packs. I mean, some of these mods are very straightforward. Like one that just has different colours of brick. brick. Well,
Yeah.
The chisel thing, that's purely a cosmetic mod. It doesn't really do anything.
very useful.
Yeah, it's a nice thing, but yeah. So Skyfactory 3. I didn't have any real problems with it. We didn't find any major bugs with the progression or the things. I mean, regrowth. We had a couple. We had to cheat a few things in.
Well, that's because the whole linking your quest thing is prone to bugs.
Yeah, there were a few bits where stuff just didn't work. But with the Skyfactory, it all worked. It all did what is, And then I think there was, just because we didn't perhaps exercise it as much as we could have, there was definitely opportunities for creativity there, particularly the terrain scanner thing. I'd like to have seen that come in much earlier.
Yeah.
Because essentially there's a series of blocks which regenerates the world. You're in the sky block.
We could have used that much earlier. What we really need to do is, if we were to ever do this again, actually have a look at what mods are in there.
It's actually, so Skyfactory 3 strikes me as an expert's endeavour. You've got to know a lot about the various mods that are in there, because you're just going to be frustrated.
The quest book
otherwise.
does not mention storage systems.
Yeah, exactly.
If you were following the instructions, you will never get a storage system.
Well, there weren't even instructions; they were just a tick list of do this, do this, do this. Whereas the regrowth book, it had a real good go at explaining how to use a lot of the mod systems. So I think regrowth probably is more suitable for beginner Minecraft. Well, beginners to mods certainly. You still got to know how Minecraft works. So, and it does make more of an attempt to explain how each thing does, what it does for you, how to use it, and that sort of thing. I think different horses for different courses, really.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, I'm looking forward to not playing Minecraft extensively.
Yeah,
we got this little friends server that we're tinkering about on. I don't mind just pottering about on there, but
I'm definitely pottering on there.
Yeah, just put a little castle together and stuff. I'm quite interested in this Psy mod.
Yes.
So this is by that Vadsky chap, the bloke who did Britannia. And this Psy thing is actually about programming. It comes with its own little resources. You build a little gun that can cast spells, and you actually build the spells using a grid of what amount to functions and constants and variables and so on, much like you would in an object-based programming language. I don't know a lot about programming myself, but
you used to be a professional programmer.
It comes with
just point that out.
No, QA. We break things, we don't fix them. But it comes with its own internal tutorial system that teaches you how to use it all pretty well, but it is quite heavy going. You've got to be in the right mood to get anywhere with it. But, for example, my gun now has six modes, and one mode, when you fire at the rocks, it digs 8 blocks in a line.
Yeah.
One mode, you fire, and it will dig all the parts of a tree in the trunk. Just takes the first 8 or so.
Okay.
So it's a different area, different angle. There's one that will explode when it hits the ground. And my favourite spell I've made on there so far is you shoot at the ground and it makes the nearest animal bounce. It makes the nearest animal jump 2 blocks, come back down again. So I'm thinking of
stay away from Shelley's farm.
It works on squids as well. I beached one the other day. But that's the sort of, and I'm very early in on working through the list of things you can do with that, but it seems a hugely powerful thing if you understand it well. So I'm just decided to settle on that particular one. I asked nicely, and Nixoy added it to the mod pack, so I can tinker with it.
He's very good at that.
Yeah, but that actually was in the Skyfactory thing, and it wasn't mentioned at all in the book. There were so many mods that had just been thrown in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if Britannia was even mentioned. I think we may have had to get 1 or 2 things.
No, Britannia was mentioned.
Yeah, but there was quite a lot of mods in there that we just were thrown in and we didn't even touch or look at or notice were there. So, yeah. So I'm quite looking forward to a bit of a relaxed semi-Minecraft retirement, to be honest.
If people do want another show, then suggest the mod pack and we'll consider it. But
I'd quite like to try some other survival
builder
type game.
Yeah, it's the
remember Space Engineers.
God, yes. Do you know what? They haven't fixed the bugs.
I've been in there recently. It's they've updated the art on a lot of the blocks, but I still don't dare build anything with rotors or pistons.
No. And landing gear probably still bounces.
Boing, gone.
And they actually reinstalled Medieval Engineers.
Oh, I wonder where that's getting to.
I don't know. I was curious. I haven't actually played it yet. I just reinstalled it.
But I think I could do with a break.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. I think that's probably good enough.
Yeah, do your spill.
If you go on to howtomurdertime.com, you can see our previous episodes of the last 10 years of podcasting. If you go on to YouTube, you can see all of our video versions of the shows and the aforementioned Minecraft series, and also Tim doing stupid walks places. Usually
hiking.
For the record, whenever he says, and I'm somewhere else, I'm in bed, asleep in the warm.
I'm going to get you to come out on a hike one day.
maybe.
I think it'll be instructive.
Yeah. And you can
Pick a nice 2-mile job, you'll be all right.
Yeah. And if you stick around, give us a sub, give us likes on our videos, listen to the podcast, sub to the podcast, tell your friends about it so more people discover it. And we'll be back next time with what is turning into a bit of a countdown towards number 200 of
Oh, lordy.
time. Yeah, we're getting awfully close. We may just do nothing and not pretend it doesn't
Start
exist.
working on the choreography.
Which is actually, I think, episode 400 and something, if we include anything. Where we're nothing if not inconsistent with numbering.
Ah, see
So-
you next time.
Goodbye.